Once upon a time, there was a poor boy who lived in a small village. He did not have many possessions and lived a simple life. He worked hard every day to survive, doing odd jobs and helping anyone who needed him. He had no parents, and his family had passed away when he was young. But he always had a kind heart and helped people whenever he could. He did not mind his hard life, as he was used to it, but he often wondered what it would be like to live a life of luxury. One day, while he was working in the fields, an old man passed by. The man was dressed in tattered clothes, and he looked weak and tired. The boy felt sorry for him and decided to help. He invited the old man to his home, gave him food and water, and offered him a place to rest. The old man was grateful and said to the boy, "You have a kind heart. I see that you are a good person. And for that, I will reward you. Come with me, and I will show you something that will change your life forever." The boy, though confused, agreed to follow the old man. They walked for hours until they reached a beautiful house at the edge of the village. The house was big, with a large garden and many beautiful flowers. The old man turned to the boy and said, "This is the house that will change your life. It is full of treasures, but you must be careful. There is one room in this house that you should never enter. It is locked, and no one should ever open it. If you open it, something terrible will happen." The boy was curious, but also respectful. He nodded and promised not to open the locked door. The old man then handed him a golden key and said, "This key will unlock everything in this house, except for that one room. Keep it safe and never forget my warning." The boy promised again and thanked the old man for the kindness he had shown him. He was eager to explore the house and its treasures. As he entered the house, he found it filled with gold, silver, carpets, food, and servants. It was a place of luxury, something he had never seen before. He was amazed and felt like he was dreaming. He spent the next few days exploring every part of the house. He ate the best food, slept on the softest beds, and wore the finest clothes. But in his heart, he couldn't stop thinking about the locked room. What could be inside? Why was it locked? The curiosity grew stronger with each passing day. One day, as he wandered through the house, he came across a group of 10 old men sitting in a large hall. They were talking among themselves, but as soon as they saw the boy, they fell silent. They looked at him with strange, knowing eyes. The boy felt uneasy but decided to sit with them. They welcomed him and began to tell him stories about the house, the treasures, and the secrets that it held. They warned him again about the locked room, and one of them said, "If you ever think of opening that door, remember this: the riches you have now will disappear, and you will be left with nothing." The boy was frightened by their words, but tried not to let it affect him. He continued to live in the house, enjoying all the luxuries it offered. But deep inside, he still wondered about the locked room. One evening, as the sun set and the house grew quiet, the boy found himself standing before the locked door. He had never seen it up close before, but now it seemed to call to him. He could not resist any longer. With trembling hands, he took the golden key from his pocket and inserted it into the lock. The door creaked open, and he stepped inside. To his surprise, there was nothing inside the room but a simple wooden chair. There were no treasures, no jewels, just an empty space. He felt a sense of disappointment, but also relief. He was about to turn around and leave when suddenly the door slammed shut behind him. The boy tried to open the door again, but it was locked. He screamed for help, but no one answered. He was trapped in the room, and panic began to set in. The walls seemed to close in around him, and he felt a cold chill run through his body. Time passed, and he began to feel weak and hungry. He sat on the chair, feeling helpless and afraid. He remembered the old man's warning and realized that he had made a terrible mistake. He cried out, "I should never have opened the door. I should have listened." After what felt like hours, the door finally opened. The boy rushed out, but when he looked around, everything had changed. The beautiful house was gone. There were no servants, no gold, no treasures. The garden was overgrown, and the air was thick with dust. The boy looked around in shock. What had happened? Where had everything gone? He ran through the house, searching for answers, but everything was empty. He stumbled into the garden and saw the old man standing there, looking at him with a sad expression. The boy asked, "What happened? Where is everything?" The old man replied, "You opened the door, and now you have lost everything. But do not worry. You can make things right again." The boy begged the old man, "Please tell me how. I don't want to lose everything." The old man nodded and said, "You must go back to where you came from. Return to your village, and you will find what you have lost." With those words, the old man disappeared. The boy returned to the village, but when he arrived, he found nothing had changed. The people were still poor, the streets were still dusty, and there were no signs of the wealth he had once enjoyed. He felt lost and alone. He remembered the key and the door, but he could not understand what had happened. One day, as he sat on the side of the road, a carriage passed by. It was drawn by 2 horses, and the driver stopped when he saw the boy sitting there. The driver was a royal servant, and he said, "You are needed at the king's palace. The king has heard of your kindness and wants to meet you." The boy was confused, but agreed to go with the servant. When they reached the palace, the boy was amazed. It was even more beautiful than the house he had lived in before. He was taken inside to meet the king. The king looked at him and said, "I have heard that you are a kind and generous young man. I have a daughter who needs a husband, and I would like you to marry her." The boy was shocked. He had never expected such an offer. The princess was beautiful, and he felt nervous, but he agreed. They were married in a grand ceremony, and the boy became a prince. He was given a large room in the palace, filled with gold, food, and servants. The life he had once dreamed of was now his. Years passed, and the boy, now a man, lived a life of happiness and comfort. He became close friends with the king and served him faithfully. However, deep down, he still remembered the locked door and the old man's warning. One night, as he lay in bed with his wife, the princess, he confessed his fears. "I sometimes wonder what happened to the house, the gold, and the treasure. I made a mistake, and I am afraid of what might happen." The princess comforted him, saying, "Do not worry about the past. You are here with me now, and that is all that matters. We have a future together." But the boy still felt uneasy. He needed answers. The next morning, he went to the royal gardens and sat under a large tree. There, he saw the old man again. The old man smiled at him and said, "You have found your place. You have learned the true value of life. You no longer seek wealth or power, but love and happiness. You have become wise." The boy smiled back, feeling at peace. The old man's words stayed with him. He had learned a valuable lesson about greed, choices, and the importance of love. He never forgot the locked door, but he also understood that the true treasures in life were not material. They were the relationships and the love we share with others. The boy, now a wise man, lived the rest of his days happily with the princess. He never opened any forbidden doors again, and he never forgot the lesson he had learned. He served the king, helped the people, and raised a family of his own. And though he never saw the old man again, he always remembered the kindness and wisdom he had received on that fateful day.